I'm Carole Leathem, and you're listening to a bonus episode of the Caretakers Journey podcast. I'm your host, and I want to welcome you to day 30 of our 31-day Caretakers Resolve Challenge. Today is January 30th, and our resolve today is to forgive ourselves. So grab your Post-it note and write, I resolve to forgive myself. I resolve to let go of guilt over decisions or perceived shortcomings in caregiving. So forgiving ourselves as caretakers is an important but often challenging step in maintaining emotional well-being. Our guilt stems from love, responsibility, and a desire to do the best we can for our loved ones that we're caring for. Guilt can weigh us down if we don't deal with it. So how do we do that? How do we deal with it? Well, here's some ways that I use to get past guilt and forgive myself. I tell myself I'm human. Caregiving is complex, and no one is going to do it perfectly. I have to remind myself that mistakes and difficult decisions are a part of my caretaking journey and not a measure of my love and dedication for the one that I'm caring for. I have to shift my focus from the outcomes to the intentions. My perspective has to be on the intentions behind my actions. If I'm doing the best with the information and resources I have, then I need to stop putting negative pressure on myself. I also need to recognize that many of the outcomes are influenced by things that are outside of my control, such as the progression of an illness or limited support. Another thing I have to do is I have to change my self talk. That inner dialogue that goes on in your mind, I can be pretty harsh on myself, and I need to be mindful of how I talk to myself. I remember my grandmother say, Carolee, you cannot talk to me like that. And so I typically will find myself talking to myself and I'll say, Carolee, you cannot talk to yourself like that. I replace the harsh self criticism with a self compassion message. You're doing a great job. I imagine what I would say to someone else in my situation, and then I would say it to myself. I'm doing the best I can, and that's enough. Sometimes I just need to hear the affirming words from someone else. So I talk to others who understand the caretaking journey, and we share our struggles. And this helps me feel less alone. It validates the hard path I am on, and we speak truth to each other. Something else we need to do is accept our imperfections. I'm not perfect, and I need to accept that I can't meet every need all the time. I then start thinking about all the good that I've done instead of the areas where I fall short. Forgiving yourself is an active thing. Recognize those moments when your guilt rises up, and then stop those negative thoughts by saying out loud, I forgive myself for nothing. I forgive myself for not being able to fix everything. I forgive myself for not being able to do nothing. Sorry, let me start over. Remember, no editing here. I forgive myself for not being able to fix everything. My journal can be a very helpful way for me to express my feelings and get rid of the guilt. Sometimes if I write out what I'm feeling, I can see how unrealistic my thoughts are, and it actually stops the process. Here's a biggie that I've been working through. You have to allow space for grief. I discovered a few months ago that I had started grieving the what was lost and the what will never be, or what will never be again. I can wish all I want for the circumstances to be different, but there comes a time when we must accept the outcome and we have to mourn what was or what could have been. If you get stuck, make an appointment with a therapist. This is a safe place to unpack your deep feelings and to learn strategies to manage them. Our caregiving journey can be very, very, very complex, and sometimes we need to just keep going. And in order to keep going, we need to reach out for help. We need to make some adjustments. We need to change our mindset. I want to challenge you to be kind to your future self. Reflect on the legacy of love and care that you are creating. even if the decisions that you make now feel imperfect. The compassion that you've poured into your loved ones is going to be remembered. The nurses in my mom's assisted living home have told my sister and I over and over and over the last few years that my mom has been living there. We don't see the kind of care your mom gets very often. One of your mom's friends has family members in town, and she never sees them. My niece had a baby in December, and within 5 days, the baby and my mom had met. One of my mom's friends has a great grandbaby that lives in town, is almost 2 years old, and she's never met the baby. Most of the residents don't have help from families, and they rarely hear from or see them. The nurses have told us over and over and over how wonderful it is to see us caring for our mom in the way that we are. Our caretaking journey is an act of love and sacrifice. Guilt is going to be a natural byproduct of that journey, but don't let it define you. If we practice self compassion and we reframe our perspective, we're going to find peace and joy for a very hard journey. I challenge you today to think about the areas where perfectionism steps in. Think about the areas where you are trying so hard to get it right and you're not. Think about the mistakes that you made that you're still carrying. Think about the pressure that you're putting yourself on because you feel like you should be doing more. Think about the people who don't have anyone to do what you're doing for your loved one. The people who are forgotten, ignored. I am committed that our mom will know that we love her, even though right now her poor mind is going to the point that half the time she doesn't even know who we are anymore. It's a sobering thought to think that somebody would look at this and go, oh, it's just so easy. She doesn't know. My mom thinks I was just there a few days ago. It's okay if I don't go to Milwaukee for 2 weeks. No, it's not okay. I need to go. I challenge you on your caretaking journey to let go of perfectionism, to let go of the mistakes, to understand that we're not going to do it perfectly. And I challenge you to forgive yourself. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you know a caretaker, share the show with them using the links in the show notes below. My resources for these resolves has been my book, Are You Ready to Find Joy When Life Gets Messy? And on February 7th, we're going to start an 8-week series talking about some of the truths and tips from my book. If you want an in-depth copy of the Caretakers 31-Day Resolve Challenge, join my email list, and I will let you know how you can get it when it becomes available. As I close out today, I want to pray for you. God, caregiving can take so much hard work. And it's so easy sometimes for us to just want to walk away. I know, God, that there are days where I don't want to pick up the phone and I don't want to deal with it. And I still do. God, I pray for the caregiver who's listening today, who's feeling overwhelmed, who's not forgiving themselves, who's feeling guilty about choices and decisions that have been made. I pray, God, that if they've been less present, that they will be challenged to be more present in the life of their loved one. God, we are leaving a legacy for future generations to see. I am proud that my 18-year-old and 16-year-old grandchildren see how I'm loving and caring for my mom and my husband. May we continue to love our loved ones well and to forgive ourselves. May we rest in you, knowing that if we don't know what to do, you're going to tell us and you're going to help us figure it out when we get there. And God, I pray for the grief. Boy, that grief, it hit me like a tidal wave a few weeks ago. the what was lost and the what will never be. That's a hard one for me. I'm still working through it. Continue to help me and God for the caretakers who are listening, who are working their way through grief as well. Maybe they didn't even know until today that it was grief. Thank you for walking before us. Thank you for walking behind us. And God, thank you so much for walking beside us. We ask all this in your precious name. Let me bless you. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look with favor on you and give you peace. I will be back tomorrow.